Hey everybody, welcome to another Tipsy Tagalongs podcast. Here I'm Gary Moore with Journey More Often, and with me is Knute from Blondes Brewnettes. And Brewnettes is B-R-E-W, Nets. A little takeoff on the beer scenario. Before we get started, I wanted to give our public service announcement. When you're drinking, you should drink responsibly. You shouldn't drink and drive. That's, just don't be stupid. That's my thing. Don't be stupid when you're drinking. Have fun when you're drinking, but just be reasonable.
The right thing.
Reasonable. Hey, Knute, how's it going, man?
Good. How are you? Thanks for having me today.
Good. Yeah. So, this is going to be fun because, we have kind of a longer term relationship. When you first bought, you and Bernadette first bought 12s.
That's correct.
That was pretty cool. We saw that. That was a really smooth transition. I think it worked out really well. And the reputation of 12s has increased even since then, I think. Lots of really good food to the point where we did an American Wine Journey podcast. You can actually revisit that on our YouTube channel, Journey More Often. But you guys supplied the burgers for us.
Correct.
Yeah, that was awesome, by the way. And we paired wine with a standard burger with cheese, a blue cheeseburger, and a turkey burger and a vegan burger.
Oh, you got better memory than I do.
Yeah. So it was really good. We found some great wines. I won't tell you, but there's a real sleeper in there because a wine that you wouldn't suspect would go with a burger went crazy well. So check that one out. Anyway, but we're here now to talk about your beer and how things got started, because I remember you giving me a little tour and showed me your opening salvo, if you want to. You started brewing, and I saw a couple of tanks, and you were like, "Hey, this is where we're at," and then you were like, "I think we got to get out of the kitchen." I think it was in the kitchen, if I remember.
You have amazing memories. Some of that stuff, like we were talking about earlier, about the whole Journey More Often, you forget so much stuff along the way, so it's nice to hear other people tell you about it. But yeah, we originally had a small 5-gallon system we were doing in our garage. Is where we originally started for fun, and then after we had purchased 12s, we put a 1-barrel system in there, and we'd have to go in when the end of the night, and cooks are all trying to clean and get prepped for the next day, and we're getting everything set up, and it was just complete chaos, but it was fun.
Yeah, this is where I promote small business, because people don't realize the work that goes into a small business, because now you've got two separate and distinct functions happening in the same space, which is not easy to manage.
Nightmare.
And especially in a kitchen, because there's a lot going on at the end of the night. I mean, it's like everything needs to be taken care of at the end of the night. And
it is.
But go ahead.
It's watching them reset. They're ending the night, cleaning up, resetting for the next day, and then here we come in, 3 or 4 of us coming in the midst of all this, and we decide we're going to start setting up brew equipment, and it's got to be cleaned anyway, and we're just all over each other, and it made for long nights.
Yeah, and some probably a couple of choice words from time to time, but that's okay. But that's how small businesses get started.
Absolutely.
And that's how small businesses become like actual businesses, right?
Yeah.
Because you weren't a business then.
No.
Blondes and Brewnettes was not a business. It was basically, let's see how this goes.
That's exactly what it was. Let's give it a shot, and we'll see. And if it starts to work, then we'll stay with it. If not, we'll take it apart and we'll start over again and see where we went wrong.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing about, and that's why I love promoting locally owned and operated businesses, because there's those stories that you get. There's the backstory behind all that work. A lot of times you'll walk into some place and go, "Oh, this is really cool. I wonder how I got started." And it's like, okay, so it's like the Mississippi River.
Yep.
There's some spring up in northern.
It got it going
somewhere, Minnesota or wherever it is, and that's the beginning of the Mississippi River. So when you get there, you're like, oh man, this is really cool. And so now you've got something that it's actually functioning, and it's working. And there's a whole lot of stuff like tonight you've got a band coming in, or music at least, right?
Yep.
So and you have that like every weekend.
Yeah, we usually do live music or a DJ every Friday and Saturday night. Thursday nights, every other Thursday's trivia. And then the opposite Thursday was a music bingo, which is like a family fun event. lot of families come out with the kids, and the kids get involved.
Yeah.
And then Wednesdays is a variety. We have a DJ Tom comes in and he does all vinyl. So we go back to old school when he comes in with the turntables and brings in thousands of vinyls, and everybody goes through and they're alphabetical, and you pick what you want to play and you give it to Tom. It is a great night.
I think I still have some of my grandfather's 15 RPMs.
You should bring them in, because a lot of people show up with their own,
like
and then
what?
Tom puts them on and plays them, and it's a cool little community that has been built about this, behind vinyl.
Yeah.
Even to the point where my wife bought me a turntable for Christmas, and now I start collecting some and getting.
Cool.
It's pretty funny to think we're going back to that.
Well, there's a purity of sound there, if you will. Digital sound. People don't realize digital sound is it's like a calculus equation.
Yes.
Where it's cutting some of the sound off and adding some in other places. So.
Yep.
But with a vinyl, it's pure sound.
It's pure sound. Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's a good night. You should come in with your vinyl.
Complete with a crackling fireplace on some of the albums.
And then speaking of small business too, we also have Dan Orlando. Who's
it's Dan. I was headed there.
Okay, not to jump
there.
with the car.
Dan, I remember Dan in the High School Musicals.
Okay.
I used to be the vocal director for the High School Musical.
Oh, all right.
So for a few years, and Dan was one of the people that was in there, and he's amazing. He's coming. I think on the 21st there's an open mic night that he'll direct.
Yes.
And he's actually sung with Tony Bennett.
Yes, he has.
And some other
amazing,
really large acts and stuff like that. And the band's pretty good.
They are. And what? It's funny because that kind of goes right along with what you're saying with small business, because you got to see him in the high school setting. I'm getting them in the more professional setting, and I keep teasing him. I said, when you're playing at Lincoln Financial Field in front of all those people, you better have a Blondes Brunnettes T-shirt on one of these times.
Exactly.
He's getting there. He's going to be. You're going to see him.
Oh no, it's just literally a matter of time.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's really cool. Hey, we should probably get started on this beer, because it's sitting here.
Let's do it.
And it might be good, slightly warm, but it might be better, cooler.
Yeah. I can drink it anyway. Which one do you want to do first?
Number one.
Okay.
All right. You notice there's number 1 and number 3. That's on purpose because there's 2 and 4 behind us. All right. Let's get this started. Number 1. All right, what is this?
This one is
really dark.
Yeah. Oh, geez, I'm spilling it over here.
Okay. Spill on aisle 4.
Yeah. Right. Ruining your equipment already. Number 1. This is the Red Devil's Backbone.
Okay.
It's a dark porter. We did.
Ooh.
Yeah. You'll get like a little coffee chocolate taste to it.
Ooh. Very nice porter
smooth.
flavor.
It looks like it would be real heavy.
It is smooth.
It's very smooth, very light. But it's a 10%er. So.
Okay, so you want
to watch when you're drinking them.
Yeah,
They're very good. Yeah. But yeah, it'll get you there fast. This was, in fact, my wife wasn't real happy when she saw the percentage on them. She likes to keep the ABVs low. But this one was, I kind of missed the mark a little bit, went a little heavy on the grains. And, the equipment we have is a 3.5 barrel, and I'm used to working on a much smaller scale, so I'm still adjusting a lot. And so unfortunately, some will come out a little high at times, like this one.
Yeah, I gave some honey up for a Maibach with Iron Hill Brewery.
Okay.
We did a featured wine at Iron Hill Brewery, and the guy says, I want 2 5-gallon buckets of honey. And then he calls me up the day before we're getting ready to do the ceremonial pouring of the honey into the barrel, right? And he goes, one bucket. Yeah. And I'm like, well, why? He goes, the ABV is going to be 8.75 with 1 bucket. With 2, it's going to be over 12. Yeah. He goes, no.
Jet fuel, yeah.
Yeah. And, you don't want wine in a beer because people chug beer.
It goes.
And that's why it's important to be a little lighter on the ABV. Although this is really, you can't taste the alcohol.
No, you can't.
That's really dangerous.
It is, and we try to make it a point to let the people know when they order it, to keep an eye on.
Yeah. Fortunately, most people who drink porter or porter-like beer, they're clued in already.
Absolutely.
And so they're not going to abuse the privilege, so to speak. You're not going to just chug a porter.
And when it doesn't taste like a beer you want to chug anyway. So
exactly, right? Yeah, it's like a good scotch, that kind of thing. So this is really good. I really do like this.
Yeah, it's been one of our favorite porters we've had so far.
Ooh.
So we've had quite a few that we've done, but this is probably our
All right, so go again. Okay, in there I can taste a lot of different flavors. What are you advertising that it's?
Well, it's more of like the chocolatey coffee taste.
You did say that. Sorry about that.
So yeah, that's basically where we went with that one, and we try to keep it pretty mild. Like I don't like when you overbear you with one flavor.
Right, and I can feel like and here's, to that point, I could taste chocolate up front and coffee in the finish.
Yep.
So, which was pretty cool, which is like, whoa, those are two different flavors, and I could taste one at the beginning and one at the end.
Yeah, and the coffee
it's kind of fun.
The coffee we used is actually from Lamont Coffee out of Westchester, where we get our coffee from for 12's Grown Cafe.
Okay.
So we use them as well. So we use some of that in the
So if I order coffee at 12's, I'll get that coffee.
You'll have Lamont, the Lamont brand coffee.
Oh, and you make a dark coffee there?
So we have, that one's a French roast we normally have on here, but
that's
they have
a little lighter.
They do a lot for us. In fact, we had a cold brew we did once, and we were mixing that with some of the Pennsylvania vodkas and making espresso martinis.
Oh.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. It came out nice.
Yeah, I'm a coffee fanatic. My personal belief is if you're going to drink coffee, you shouldn't have to add anything to it.
No.
If you want to, that's a thing. You can do that, but you shouldn't have to add anything
Absolutely.
to it, if that makes sense.
And I'll even let a little news out there. If you stay tuned, in the area here is going to be a new coffee place coming pretty soon.
Ooh.
Yeah.
You have something to do with that?
No, not really. I just kind of...
So you're helping another small business.
Yeah. So
nice. I like that.
It's very new right now, but the talks are there and some moves are being made. So I'm excited because I'm a coffee guy too.
Yeah, right. I like supporting small businesses
Absolutely.
as well. So that's pretty cool. All right, so this would go if you were going to eat something. Would you eat anything with this? Let's just talk about that a little bit.
Any of your meats will go good because it does have that smokier taste. So you can get your steak.
I was going to say a good steak or even a good burger would make it really work.
Yep, absolutely.
Not sure I do. I might do blackened chicken.
Okay. Yeah.
Because it's a little bit of a more flavor to it, but definitely I think I would stick to the steaks.
To steaks, yeah.
That'd be good. All right. So you want to open up a can? Now,
Sure.
This is interesting. So you can see a lot of breweries do have cans. Blondes and Brunnettes is no different.
That's right.
They have a good selection of cans. And Knute has decided, hey, we're going to try one of these two as our number 2.
Sure, whichever one you want.
Let's try this one.
The All Bright Lager?
Yeah, let's try that one.
Okay, let's do that one.
All right. We'll each get a glass. I'll let you open that up.
I'll try not to spill it this time.
But it's okay. I don't think you caught the... you got the little bit of the wire, but we can wipe that off.
Send Burnett a bill.
As long as it's not like right here, I think we're in good shape.
Okay.
All right, so then we have... Oh, this has a little bit of some effervescence going on here.
Yeah, this is like your standard lager, like a very simple drinking lager that I wanted to create. I wanted to have a variety of beers where if somebody came in that wasn't into the craft beer scene, they could find something that they wanted to drink as well and they could enjoy. And that seems to be the one that everybody kind of goes to. It's the Albright Lager. That I also made this can. Albright College in Reading.
Oh, right.
Yeah, that's where I graduated from.
I was wondering about that.
So they did their homecoming beer, and they asked me to do a can for them. And so I said,
nice.
They were looking for a style, and I said, you want to go with something that's low ABV if everybody's going to be drinking it throughout the day. And
right.
So we went with that, and then I had graphic designer do our logo and create like a whole
really good
theme, and it's been popular. So
yeah, it looks the can looks good, and so now I'm looking forward to the beer. What'd you say the ABV was again?
This is a 5%.
Okay, so that's lower, but not as low as you can.
Right, you can get them a little lower. It's a little tough when you try to drop them into the 4s. At least for me, with a new system.
I know you get it into 3, and it doesn't taste like beer anymore. although the non-alcoholic beers are getting a lot better.
They are.
We're not going to talk about that because we're not drinking any of this today. So. Ooh, yeah, that's really light.
Yep.
Yeah, you could down this in like
they go
5
easy.
seconds.
They do, yeah.
Oh, that's crazy.
So we try to keep it, like I said, the ABV at about 5 for these. And a couple times when I've done it, went like 5.1, 5.2, but now it's steady at 5. So I think we dialed it in pretty good. And
yeah, and it's so smooth. Like some of the similar beer, you get a bite on the end, and it's like
yeah,
it just fades off.
It's like I said, lagers
nice.
are lagers. If you go, if you stick to a lot of the traditional styles, you can stay with that easy glide.
Yeah, and that's what you get. I mean, it's really it's a pretty nice feel going down.
Yeah, I try not to complicate anything. I always say I'm not the smartest guy, so I try to keep it simple.
I don't know about that. As far as it's a good. It's a good beer when you're thinking about, okay, this is a good on the back deck beer, in 90-degree weather.
Absolutely.
So it's 87, so peeps come in and get a couple of these because it's good on, for...
And it's what actually the couple of gentlemen that just walked in, that's what they all were asking for, the lager, the Albright lager, so that's what they're drinking now.
Yeah, so, and you've got a small crowd going on here at 2:45, right?
Yeah.
So that's not too bad.
I'll take it.
And I mean, it picks up a lot. A lot of times we try and do these when it's not like massively busy, because that just is problematic for you. I mean, because you feel obligated, because you could see it before we went live. Knute's talking to one of those guys, and that's why we started at 7:31 and not 7:30. But Knute was like pretty good at it. But you're obligated as a small business owner to talk to people as they come into the door, especially in a service business like this one.
Absolutely.
So you want to talk to people. You don't want to ignore them. And so when you've got like a massed crowd in here, that's not good for us to be here.
No.
Unless we don't need you, but we need you because we want to talk about, what you're selling here.
And that is the best part of being a small business is the relationships you establish with the customers and the everyday people that come in, that they come in and they look and they feel like part of something now too, because they have another face they can relate to, and conversations can pick up weeks later from where you left them. Exactly.
I mean, we've had conversations for, but I mean, brief. But, I mean, it's not like we hang out, because we don't. But on the other hand, we've had conversations back and forth for a couple of years.
I was going to say, at least before the pandemic, right?
And so when we started to do podcasts, I thought, it'd be fun to have Blondes and Brunettes, and we've tried a couple of times, and we've had... there's the swing and a miss kind of scenario where you set it up and it just doesn't work, and you got to be flexible with that, because, I mean, I know I've canceled stuff because, last month I actually was scheduled to play a gig, right, at 1723.
Okay.
And poor 1723, I got laryngitis for the first time of my entire life. And, you can't sing with laryngitis. That just doesn't work.
No, you can't.
I mean, I can sing and push it, but I wouldn't have any voice left at the end. And they were very, very kind in letting me out of that obligation.
That's good. They're great people down there, too.
They really are. Ben and Sarah are amazing people.
Throughout the course of 12s, and when they opened up. And, we have a really good working relationship with them guys. Yeah, so Ben and I do the American Wine Journey together. It's actually his gig, okay? I just help facilitate it with the equipment and whatnot. I'm a tipsy tag-along to American Wine Journey, if you will, because we do a lot of really good, fun stuff. Last month, we paired wine with seafood. So we had salmon, cod, Old Bay seasoned shrimp, and Phillips Crab House crab cakes. Okay.
The recipe for Phillips Crab House crab cakes.
That's good
and
stuff.
So all locally, I'm not a fan of promoting Old Bay because it's like an international thing, but on the other hand, it started locally in Baltimore City,
right?
And they still have their headquarters there.
That's local.
So it's kind of local because it started local.
We'll take it.
Yeah, but it does make some shrimp taste really, really good.
Yeah, it does.
And so we did that, and we paired wine with seafood.
Okay. Yeah, Ben's a creator. He's a very interesting guy. And
he knows his wine, really, really well.
Absolutely.
So I can't. That's why I love hanging out with him, because I learn from him.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
That's some pretty cool stuff. So is there anything else that you'd like to talk about with this?
No, like I said, this is our lager. I use it as our everyday drinker make everyone when we created this space, we wanted a space for everyone to come and feel comfortable and enjoy themselves. So I had to try to create different beers for everybody. And
this is the anchor beer.
Yeah, that's the one that if you don't know what you're drinking or you're not sure the names, you go with that.
You can't go wrong.
You can't go wrong.
You can't go wrong. I like that. I like that because every place that has beer has to have one of those.
Absolutely.
Right? You know, and we're not going to talk about nationally named beers, but typically there'll be one that is promoted at a venue.
Absolutely.
Like if you go to, you go to a chain venue, they've got X beer.
Right.
And so this is your version of X beer.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And again, we're not going to talk about them because they don't need help.
No, they're doing
and
well.
you don't need help. But on the other hand,
I always need help.
well, we're not talking mentally here,
okay,
right?
okay.
If you'll allow me to say that on social media. But yeah, this is good. I really do, and I can see why now. It's one of those where it's a go-to. It's your anchor. Yeah. So because if somebody goes, well, I'm really not familiar with beer, because people walk in.
They do.
It's surprising. That fact is really shocking to me. They'll walk into a brewery, and I really don't know anything about beer, and I really don't taste beer.
Right. They don't know.
They don't know. And it's surprising because everybody thinks, oh, everybody knows about beer. Who doesn't know about beer, right?
And before I started, it really is. There's a lot. And
it's surprising.
Before I started brewing, I knew nothing. I just thought beer was beer. I thought the styles were the styles. Like I always said, give me a lager, and that was the type of beer. I didn't realize it was different name brands and all the styles. Like growing up, but there really is. And I'm surprised now how many people come in that don't know, and then they'll say, I'm trying to become a beer guy, or I'm trying to become a beer girl. Like, what can I try? I don't really know.
So they haven't even tried anything yet.
Yeah, they've
or
tried.
Maybe
they don't know what's in it, and you kind of got to break it down for them, and then they're trying to get into the whole culture of it.
Or maybe they're like me when I was growing up. The thing would be to have X beer, and one of the X beers, the X beer, not the Y beer or the Z beer, one of them actually made me physically ill because it was made from a different hops.
Okay.
Right? So it's not their fault. It's it's my body's reaction. So I'm thinking that's what beer tastes like.
Yeah.
Right? You're looking at it and going, that's what beer tastes like. But that's not true.
No, that's what that beer tastes like.
That's what that beer tastes like. Yep. And so I knew not to drink that beer, so I don't drink X beer ever.
Right.
I try to stay away from Y and Z as well, just because these are so good. I mean, you can come, I can drive, I'm 10 minutes from here.
Okay.
I can drive 10 minutes and be here and have a good beer.
Right.
Why?
No, I'm the same way.
Yeah.
Same way.
Yeah.
It's good. I feel like all the small guys that are creating their own craft, it's fun to kind of see where they're at and what they created on their own and why they created it.
Right. And there's a few around in the area.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, which is kind of fun, And I was really sorry to see Knute Brewing Company.
I know.
Go because they had some very eclectic beers. He was really good, and if you want to find out about the beers you'll never drink, go on and review our podcast with Dave. Is it Dave, right?
I think it's Dave.
Yeah, Dave. He's hysterical, by the way. He has such a dry sense of humor. To the point where he said, two of the recipes that we're having today I stole from Ben Franklin. I'm like, pretty sure it's open source now.
Yeah, it is. I mean, that's what I was going to say. A lot of pretty much the styles, you can get any recipe for anything, and you just kind of look at it and...
feel like it's cooking a turkey, If you cook a turkey, you can put butter on it, salt and pepper, or you can stuff it or not stuff it. I mean, but it's your choice,
That's right.
How you do the stuffing makes it custom, but on the other hand, it's like it's still turkey.
It is. It's like I always say to people, and they're like, "Well, why does this one taste similar to this one?" And I'm like, "Well, it's a very similar style recipe. It's the same grains." I said, but the difference being in a lot of beers is what's the one ingredient I always say that's in every beer, no matter what it is, and it's the water. Water. I'm sorry, from Philly I say water.
Water.
So it's the water. So you got to work with your water chemistry, and you can create the style and play with it, which I think is the hardest part about it.
So what goes? All right. So you have the hops, you have the water, you have the
grains.
The grains. Then and then there's a process, right? Now, you're all steel, right?
Stainless. Yep, absolutely.
Stainless steel. Okay. I don't know that you do anything. Oh, so you finish it in stainless steel, right?
Yep.
So you don't put it in oak or anything like that.
No, I haven't.
You thought about that?
I did. In fact, if you look up on top, there's a miniature oak barrel sitting on top up there.
It looks like it's waiting to be used.
It is. It's crying for me to pour it, and I wanted to pour
that
this in
wasn't
there.
cheap either.
No.
Those barrels are expensive.
Well, it was actually more expensive because it was filled with bourbon, and I had a small distillery in Pennsylvania make me a 5-gallon batch of a bourbon I wanted, and they did that, and then we were selling it here, and it came out phenomenal. I wish I still had some.
Yeah.
But I don't.
But you kept the barrel.
But
because,
I have the barrel.
Yeah.
I filled up with water, and I keep moving it around to keep it so that it's still conditioned, and I want to drop them in there, and I haven't done it yet, but I definitely want to try it.
So they're having. I don't know if you're familiar with the fundraiser. At this time of year, they're having a fundraiser. You can go online and bid for a barrel.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it all goes to charity.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Bernadette might not like this conversation, let me tell you.
You can bid for a barrel. Yeah. But, yeah, so my wife's the same. She's like, you bought what?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, so, it's for business, honey.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, beer finished off in a bourbon barrel. That would add a different flavor to it, right?
It absolutely
And it looks like that barrel's only been used once based on the look of it from here, right?
It was only used once.
Used once, so you've got a lot of bourbon sitting in that barrel right now.
Yeah.
That's in the wood.
Sucked into the wood.
Oh,
yeah.
man, that would make some good beer.
I know. And it's funny because my one buddy, another small brewery down in Philadelphia, Punch Buggy Brew, I don't know if you ever heard of Punch Buggy.
I've heard of them, yeah.
So we grew up together, living a couple houses away, and he just did one, and he was telling me we got to do one, drop it in there. He said leave it in there for like a year, and let's just see what it comes out with. So it's on the marks to get it done. So
yeah,
I'll let you know. When
oh yeah, let me know if you need any honey for that.
Yeah, we could do that.
And do
in there.
do a Maybach bourbon beer.
I'm all about it.
Yeah, that would be crazy.
Some local honey.
That would be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Our bees are killer busy right now.
Are they really?
Yeah, they're not. Yeah, I went into them yesterday, and they're not happy because I went into them yesterday because they knew it was going to storm. So they're all sitting up again. It's called bearding. So when the bees just plaster themselves against the front of the hive, it's called bearding. Oh. And they've been there since yesterday. Even in the storm. It's like pouring down rain, and the bees are just sitting on the front.
Through that storm last
night. And they're like, we're mad at you. I think they were giving me the finger from the hive.
The wing.
Yeah, giving me the wing. Yeah, I was like, oh my God. Seriously?
That's another fascinating industry I always looked into was beekeeping and making honey. And I started looking at some things online, and Bern was like, no, we got enough going on. Don't even start.
So, yeah.
Very interesting.
I have like 4 jobs, so I got to really, that's one of the things that my wife's good at. Diane will say, hey, listen, I think you're doing too much right now.
Yeah.
And so that's good. Because,
boundaries.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why we've been married for 45 years. So because occasionally I listen to her.
Yeah, right. We learned the hard way.
I should listen to her. But yeah, so, I have my day job. You have your day job.
Correct.
Because you retired and then went back again.
Absolutely, yeah.
And then it's like, I have Journey More Often, then I have the podcasts, then I have, I'll play and sing sometimes.
Okay.
Because I came to one of the open mic nights a few months ago.
Oh, all right. I must have missed you on that one.
Yeah, it was the first one.
Okay, yeah.
It was the first one, and I was like the second person to sign up, so I was like...
Get up there and go?
And like there was nobody there except for me and the band.
Oh, all right.
Everybody showed up at like 7:30, and I'm already done. So that lesson learned for me. And then I have the bees, and then I have I'm on the board of a nonprofit that teaches. We're off the track here. Sorry, but
it's okay.
This is me.
Good conversation.
I'm on the board of a nonprofit that teaches trades in other countries. So,
cool.
So it could be carpentry or welding or blockwork, cement. And we teach and we certify the classes. We have schools.
About that.
We have one school in Kenya, another school in Abaco in the Bahamas.
Oh, wow.
And we have what's called an NGO, a non-government organization, and so you have to get that status. But we have these schools that we just teach.
And you go out to these locations and teach?
I actually don't teach. I'm just on the board, and so I help set it up, and I help with the finances as far as making sure that this and that's going on.
Great.
And I've done the strategic plan for like 5 years, and we have a plan that actually in 5 years, the school becomes self-sufficient locally.
Right. Okay. Right.
Locally, it becomes self-sufficient.
Yeah.
Now, we still stay in there and we help with it, but it's pretty cool because if you think about it, and we can teach anything. Like in Kenya, they wanted us to, because we're near Nairobi, we linked in with the university, and they're like, "Hey, can you teach a class on furniture building?" Because the local furniture class.
That's great.
Yeah, local furniture place. We wanted, can you, that way you can have repair people, you can have people building. And then there was the Caterpillar people. They were like, did you see the dozer on the side of the road? Somebody needs to fix it, and we don't have anybody that can fix it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so we can put together a class for that. Similarly, in the Bahamas, they have a need for marine. What do you call it? Marine, not engineering.
Biology.
Not biology. Sorry. Marine engine. To actually fix boat engines.
Oh,
and stuff
okay.
like that.
Okay.
So, when you have that, so we can actually morph into. We have 80 different curriculums.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So,
Pretty cool,
and they're all in the trades, and that includes like going into things like entrepreneurship. Teaching them how to be an entrepreneur, how to make a budget, how to, how to follow the budget, how to, that kind of stuff. So
good stuff.
Anyway, sorry, that's a little off the beaten track.
No, that's okay. It's interesting. All good stuff.
But yeah, so that, and we're teaching them how to grow, how to become a small business. That's what, and that's one of the things that's in my purview. I've started, I've had many small businesses. I mean, right now I have 3.
Wow.
And I work for a small business.
Yeah.
So, it's one of those things where you share with people so that they can do that as well.
Yeah, that's great stuff.
And yeah. All right, so back to beer.
Yep. Like I said, we can keep going.
Yeah.
All right, so this one, what's this, number 3?
Number 3.
All right, so this was my...
Is this the mango?
This is the mango, yeah. So this is our mango wheat beer.
So I figured I'd do that because, you got to have the outlier, right? The one that, mango, because it's like, okay, what are they selling here?
Right. This one, mango was this, I expected more of a mango flavor to come through. I wasn't too thrilled with this one, but...
well, it's there. It's not like it's not there.
No, it's very, 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 very subtle, but it gives you it's almost like you get that fresh citrusy, juicy kind of taste to it.
Which is good. You want that, right?
Right.
So so after they've had the anchor beer, then they can float over to this beer because this is a nice summer beer as well.
Right. Yeah. It's like I said, summertime, springtime is when I try to bring in a lot of the light stuff. Even some of the beer names that we choose here is kind of related to the summer timing. It kind of puts people in a good mood. Like when you think about the beach and being out in nice weather. And
oh, yeah,
like that,
of course, yeah.
Mango, just like fresh mango. You can't go wrong with a fresh mango,
And you can sell it to people here for them to take to the shore or the beach.
Yep, absolutely.
There's a distinction between the shore and the beach that, someday we'll talk about. But,
going down the shore.
Going down the shore or to the beach. That all depends on where you're at. All right, so this...
And that's good. I haven't had this one in a while.
I do like the mango.
I'm glad you picked it. Yeah, you get to a point where you go through so many of them and you're making beer and you forget what they taste like. And this one was one I haven't really drank much of. So I did finish the anchor beer. Yeah. And we had that was the one we had the most of. Yeah. Right? So I finished the anchor beer. This is good. This is so far 3 out of 3 they're very smooth. Okay, cool. So you're not going to get that beer bite that you get with some of the other stuff. Now there are beers that should have a bite. Right. So don't get me wrong on that, folks. Yeah. There are beers that should have a bite, but certain beers shouldn't have a bite. They should be smooth, and if they have a bite, then that's what they have. But like when we were trying some of the beers at Knute Brewing Company, a couple of them had a bite, but they were like, one was like, was it grapefruit or something like that? It was like ridiculous. I mean, the thing was, it was off the wall. Yeah, it was off the wall. Yeah, so some of them they do some real wild beers, and they get cowboy with it, and I love it. Like if I go there, I'm trying them. Well, you got to. I feel like you're obligated if you're a connoisseur like you are, because obviously you brew beer, you create new recipes, but you're obligated to have that really ridiculously crazy. Nobody's ever going to make a beer like this. Yep, you got to try it. Yeah, you got to try it. Yeah, so here, with us here, our business plan is a little bit different, and My wife
does it matter?
No, I say it all the time. So we try to keep everything pretty tame. Like
Yeah.
try to keep ABVs down, try to keep it tame, and not for nothing. I don't want to make beer that sits and doesn't get people don't like, or I don't get a lot of people coming in that want that wild style beer. So that's what kind of draws me to that.
Right.
When I go to other breweries, that's what I want to try. Like, I was down in Philly at Urban Village, and they had this sour, which I'm not a big sour guy, but it's called Sex Panther.
Right.
And it was like this wild style. And I'm like,
obligation.
I got to try it.
Obligation.
And it was really good.
Yeah,
and I don't even like sour.
Yeah, exactly. See, that's the whole point, right? So you try something that you don't even think you like, and find out that you like it.
Absolutely.
It may not be your 100% favorite, but on the other hand, you like it. Yeah. You're not going to turn it down. If somebody like has a party and that's all they have, you're going to drink it because you actually like it. Yeah. So, it's not like, you got another beer and you're like, ooh, I'll stick to like water.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, and I've found that sour beer made well, or made, with intent, so to speak, it can have a really nice flavor to it.
Yeah,
and
this one
really
definitely
pretty
did.
Cool.
This one definitely did.
Yeah.
I mean, even some of the sours we have here, I'm trying to think which one is on. I think we have Summer Strawberry on now. Not a fan of it. Just not.
Personally, yeah.
Personally,
he made a beer he's not a fan of.
It's what.
But it happens.
People drink it,
and people buy it. Yes. That's the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
If you made beer that people didn't like, how long do you think you'd be in business?
Yeah, not long at all.
But yeah, like.
Yeah.
We could pretty much time that.
Yeah, right.
And so sometimes you do make things that you personally don't like, right? So
right.
I like a lot of beer. I like a lot of wine. I like cider. I like, all sorts of things. But I definitely have preferences, right?
Absolutely.
And I definitely have some beer that I'm like, probably not going to drink that.
And that was the hardest adjustment for me too, because before I started brewing at 12s and when we opened this, I was always brewing for myself. So making the stuff I like and kind of working on the recipes that I like. Yeah. And, you kind of get good at those recipes. And then you're thinking, well, now I got to make something that everybody likes. And I don't really like this flavor. But, so then you're giving it out to people. What do you think? What do you think? And you got to go off what they tell you. But, and it's a hard adjustment.
Right. But you're a small batch brewery, which means you can shift pretty quick.
Right.
Which is kind of fun. Because I remember coming in here one time and I was like, hey, I'd like to fill my growler. And they're like, we're not selling growlers in that. I'm like, oh, is Knute here? And they're like, well, I can call him up. And they called you up, and you let me have and it kicked the keg in the growler. It kicked the keg in the middle of the growler, and she goes, yeah.
Back to my argument.
Yeah. Well, there was literally probably enough for 2 beer, like 2
I think I remember this.
2 pints, and I'm like, I feel so bad now. I kicked the keg with a,
But yeah, when we first opened in January of last year, we were slammed, wall to wall people in here up until summer vacation started, and I couldn't get ahead of anything. I was treading water trying to keep everything afloat, and so I just stopped growler fills. We're in-house.
Which makes sense, right? So, I was actually kind of, to be honest with you, I was surprised that you let me have it.
Of course.
But that's, again, that small business wanting to be accommodating to local people who frequent the place. So, it's one of those things where you were trying to be nice, and I turned out to be not so nice by kicking the keg. But the keg was pretty much kicked when I got to it anyway. But you already called it because you knew you were late, right?
Right. Absolutely.
So, but yeah, I mean, and it was good.
What was it? What we get?
It was an IPA.
Was it Fire Me Up?
Yeah, probably. That's a good one. That's a good IPA.
Yeah. So that Fire Me Up, that was, speaking of like making beer for yourself, that was my double IPA I started with my brother-in-law in the garage. And then during COVID, that was the one that I made. It originally was called Sippy Go Mango, because I added a mango flavor to it. I didn't like it with that, but it sold at the restaurant, and I just kept monkeying with it and changing it and going, and then that one came out. And that's how I perfected that one.
Yeah, so originally you could only get the beer at the restaurant.
That's right, yeah.
I remember going in, and I'm like, well, I got to try it. You can't get it anywhere else, right?
And the funny part, we bought the restaurant to start the brewery, and it was a dry town, so we were kind of like, my wife's like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, no, so that's some interesting history, because my wife and I, Diane and I, moved into West Grove in 84.
Okay.
Right? We stayed for 20 years, and then we moved out of town. but it was dry for decades before. Decades before. And when I heard that you guys were going to give it a go, I was like, "Oh, this will be interesting." But I think we got to. I don't know why it was dry to begin with. So dry. By the way, dry, for anybody who is not familiar with the term, means alcohol is prohibited in the jurisdiction that you're in. So if it's like some countries are dry.
Right.
Like if you go to countries in the Middle East, like Iraq. Iran, those are dry countries, so you can't buy liquor at all in those countries. In West Grove, the borough, it was a dry borough.
Dry town
for
1940.
Yeah.
So,
I was going to say over 50 years, but I didn't want to.
1940 is when they made it a dry town.
A long time, and there's always a reason why that happened, but then there's always a reason why it doesn't apply anymore, right?
Right. So it got to a point where once it happened, and we bought the restaurant. Well, we were going through the process. I talked to the borough manager, and he's like, "I want to bring a brewery in, but it's a dry town." And I'm like, "Well, I want to open a brewery."
Well, now's the time.
So what are we doing? Like, how do we do this? And he looked it up, and we got it together, and went around. We knocked on doors and got signatures. And the funny part was, this was the Garage Community Center run by Kristen Pronto.
Yep.
And
now in Avondale.
Yep. We held a signing night to sign for signatures for the brewery in
How many
building.
people came?
We had like 7. It was like a snowstorm hit us.
Oh, yeah.
And me, Greg, Kristen.
But they could walk here. Come on now.
A couple people did. They came walking down. And we sat in here. We drank some beers. We talked about everything. We got like 7 signatures. And then we decided we got to go knock on
door
doors.
Door to door.
And it's funny. I just told this lesson to my son. I said, when I was doing that, I had a bunch of people laughing at me. Tell me, you ain't doing that. You're wasting your time, this and that.
But I'll sign.
But they all signed.
But you're not going to be successful.
Never let anybody tell you can't do anything. I said that just fuels your fire.
I think the timing was right, to be honest with you.
Was.
I really do. Did you, tell me if I'm imagining this or not, but was 12s originally a BYOB?
It still is.
Okay.
So it was BYOB from the original owners, and then when we took over and when we got our license, my wife was adamant about catering to everybody. So she said, some people are going to come in here, they're not going to want to drink this beer, and they're not going to want to drink PA wines. They have their own wine, and they should be able to come and enjoy a meal and drink what they want. So we're going to keep it both.
Right.
So, I mean, it's a little bit more on our insurance that we have to, but she said it's worth it to keep everybody in one place.
Yeah, it's so a lot of places are really sneaky with that. Not in a bad sense, not in a negative sense. But it's like, hey, we're creating this atmosphere where if you don't like what we have, you can bring your own, and we're okay with that.
Right.
You know, and it's surprising who out there in the local area is actually a BYOB.
Right. Yeah.
It's actually surprising when you look at it. And you're like, wow, they're a BYOB. Because you've got other restaurants that in the area they you bring your own bottle, and people are looking at you like you're crazy.
Yep.
Because they've got a full menu of wine and beer.
Yeah.
And you're bringing your own bottle in, and everybody's like, what's going on here? But I do remember, I'm pretty sure that my wife and I brought in a bottle more than once before you got the full license. Yeah. And it's crazy because you get the license, and then what happens? So the licenses have different. We've talked about this on other podcasts, but the license, no matter what jurisdiction you're in, no matter what state you're in, the licenses have gradations. So there's BYOB. That's like the lowest end that you can get.
Right. So you don't
kind of lowest.
You don't really need a license for the BYOB. The BYOB is just an insurance policy. Basically, you pay.
Well, you have to make a declaration and that kind of thing. So, and you do have to get permission.
You do get permission.
Yeah. So you have that, but then the next level is beer and wine, and it's all like Pennsylvania beer and wine.
So it's a brewer license, and you have a wine license. So depending on what you're using, so since we're using grains, we get the brewer license. But I couldn't make stuff with fruit or honey. If I do like meads, they talk about meads. That would be under a wine license.
Right?
It's so bizarre.
It's so crazy.
In fact, when Liquor Control Board was out here measuring everything and licensing.
Measuring.
Yeah, I was asking a lot of questions, and I said, what if I wanted to get into like some wines and meads and distilling and stuff, and they would have to come out unlicensed portions of the building to relicense it for that? Like total craziness.
People don't realize the hoops you have to jump through for that kind of stuff. And I'm like, sometimes I get like, it just doesn't make sense, you know. Now they've got to do their job, and that's okay. But it just like the way it's process, and how the protocols work, it's just like, we're doing what for what?
Yeah.
Like you said, you have to unlicense
An area
and then relicense that area.
Yeah.
And you're like, wait. So, and then once you relicense that area, you can't do anything else but what the new license says in that area. So if you, like, what you can't see is over here's a little corner scenario that has like 4 good-sized tables. So you could take that area. It's probably, I'm guessing, about 16 by 20. And you could take that area and relicense it. But then you'd have to pull all the chairs out. You couldn't seat people there. You could only have whatever you're licensed for in that area, which is, well, and it makes sense, but it doesn't make sense.
No,
right?
and
you're like, why can't I just make sure that I don't like go overboard in any particular area?
It's wild.
And then if you fail in that area, not fail, but if it's not marketable, like people just don't like it, You're trying to make a specialty vodka, and they're like, no, I'm going to stick with my whatever vodka. So then you want to reconvert and go back, then you have to relicense again.
Yeah, it's and when we first started with our license at 12s, we were originally the plan was to do the brewery with my brother-in-law and sister-in-law. It was going to be a 4-way partnership. And so we're like, well, let's start and license at 12 so we can start selling. And they literally came in and they wanted to put a divider up in the prep room. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? Like, and you can't put anything in this walk-in because you have food from the restaurant. Like, wait, what are you talking? And I was just like, you know what? Time out.
And you can't share.
Yeah, can't share anything. Like
if you walk over and get a spoon, they're upset with you.
Yeah, and I'm just like, time out. Let's go back to the drawing board. Let's rethink this and figure this out in a better way.
Well, this was smart. Buying the old garage was smart.
Yeah, we got lucky.
Yeah, when they opened up, because they moved over to the old firehouse, which was beautiful for them. That's
and I kept telling Chris,
spot.
and I said, if I would have known that was up, I would have tried to buy that one.
Right? Oh my God! Although,
they needed to be in a bigger location. They had so many kids.
And you have a bigger parking lot. Like the municipal parking lot, it's not convenient to park like right next to here, but it's not that far of a walk either. I mean, we're talking about, and it's free parking, but over there you'd have struggled.
It's
like
tight.
People would have parked across the street, and then they would have been, somebody would have been hit, and
and it's very
maybe
congested.
not hit, but you know what I'm saying.
Congested.
Yeah, it's just a lot of stuff going on. Better from a visibility standpoint, for sure.
Yeah, we're hidden back here in the corner.
Yeah, but on this, but this is an end destination. You've made it an end destination. The parking is. I don't know how I do it. But every time I come here, I'm able to park right out.
That's great.
Like right out front.
There you go.
Which is ridiculous.
I hold it for you. I don't tell anybody.
Yeah. There's like an invisible force field on that.
You got a key
on that space, and then I just pull my mini in, and it's all good to go.
That's good.
Yeah. No, I was able to. So it's like 50 feet from the door.
Perfect.
Yeah. And there's only 2 spots there.
That's it.
And then the rest of it's municipal lot.
Yeah.
So it's hysterical. But it would be fun if there were more spaces, but on the other hand, it's like...
Well, there is talk about the field out here. They're redoing this field. And they were talking about this playground to the left of us. They're going to move that playground to the other side, and they were going to use that playground as another parking lot. So it should be great if you get like another 20 spots in there. And they're turfing this field and putting out pickleball courts, doing all kinds of stuff. So I'm excited for that portion.
You know what I told them they should have done?
What's that?
This is probably 15, 20 years ago. I told them what they should do is they should put an underground parking lot in there and move the fields to the top of the parking lot.
There you go.
Done.
Yeah, a lot of money for that though, right?
Yeah, but there's a lot of government grants for parks nowadays.
Absolutely.
So you could absolutely do that. Like the bump outs in front of the
the at Marone's area.
Yeah, those bump outs. I was like, you need to put the bump outs out because what it'll do is it'll slow the traffic down. It's like a traffic calming because people are going through too fast.
They move through there,
And it's 30 mile an hour, but they're going 40, 45, sometimes even 50, depending on if there's anybody in front of them. Yeah. So, putting those bump outs in there, they're even better when you put trees in there. They put low shrubs in there. I'm like, if you can't see it, it makes it even slower. But hey, let's talk about that for a second because when I was talking to who's at the bar right now?
That's Shannon.
Shannon told me, she gave me the in scoop, right? So they have in that park they have games, football games, soccer games. It's a multi-purpose field, right? Yep. And it's really cool because when they have those games, they come here either in between games or before and after the games, so that, and there's food here, right, folks. It's good pub food. I've had the food.
Miguel's amazing.
Yeah, and it's good pub food. So, there's kids food and there's adult food and there's adult beverages and there's kid beverages. Yep. So, you've got all the perspective, but then, it's literally only a few minutes to walk. Like, it's like a 4-minute walk from here to there.
Not even. Once we open this up, this is all open.
Oh,
right
that's
here.
right. In that you're right through the corner.
Yeah, you're
just
looking
goes
like
through the
20
corner.
feet. You're out. You're in the field.
Yeah. So that's a really convenient thing for.
Yeah. And when I was building this out, I had this open, and they had their practices out there. The Wildcats were out there doing all their things.
Oh, the Wildcats. Yeah.
All the parents were like, "What are you doing in here?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's going to be the brewery." And they were, "Oh, you got to get this open. We need a place to sit," because they had all the trucks were parked out there.
Wildcat parents are definitely.
So they were in here this week because I guess they had their summer training camp out there, and they were all in here Wednesday and Thursday. It was packed in here. They were having a good time.
That's what Shannon was saying. She's like, "Yeah, they're in here,"
which I love. I mean, that's why we're here. We're here for the community.
Right? It's perfect. It's a perfect blend.
Yep.
To have that as an available function for people, because it's convenient. You can stay real close. I mean, if this were all windows in front of us, in back of you, if it were all windows, you could actually see the field from here.
Yeah. So, I don't know if you've seen outside where the outdoor seating. So
yeah.
When this is open and all the parents sit in the outdoor seating, they're looking right at the kids in the field.
So right now it's 88 degrees, so I'm not really sure it's conducive, and the humidity is really, really, really hot.
Nah, we don't get July and August. We don't get much seats out there. Most people don't go out there, but spring, summer, even in the winter.
That's why the garage doors closed.
Yeah. Keep the cool in.
Because it's pretty hot out there.
Way too hot.
I'm a real fan of being outdoors whenever you can.
Yep.
But today, I mean, if this was like a really nice, like 74-ish day, we'd be out there doing a podcast.
Next Friday.
Yeah.
Next Friday.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Am I coming back next Friday again?
Come on back next Friday. Saying it's 75.
So,
we have a big band coming in, so we're hoping to be able to open it up.
Oh, it's going to be crazy full. Yeah.
Good stuff.
Crazy full. Hey, you know what? We've got one more beer to do. So let's do that one. This has been good. I mean, so far it's a 3 out of 3 for me. I mean, I like them all. I'm not gonna specifically say I don't like something. And it's I have my favorites, but on the other hand, it's like these have been all really spot on as far as making and so Brunette, I think, has she's got a real vision for what's the community gonna want kind of thing. So you got to give her some street cred for that. On the other hand, it'd be fun to throw, and I think that's where you go, right? You throw 1 or 2 out there per brewing season that are a little bit more, risque from a beer perspective. You're going to do that. You're going to do that grapefruit or something outrageous.
Yeah.
But your standard beer is going to be like the smooth stuff that everybody's going to come in and go, I want that. Yeah. Right?
Yeah, and it is. And I always say Bernadette is the, I come up with an idea and she's the brains behind the operations, and she puts it together and we get it going. But
she's really sharp. I've talked to her from time to time. She's got some really strong vision. So
and I tell you what, she's never worked in a restaurant or a hospitality industry in her entire life until we bought the restaurant.
She's like a natural.
I know, and I tell her,
I'm not kidding.
You have no idea how. Like, I've always been involved in it. I said, for you to walk in with no experience and do and create what you've been doing.
She has no idea.
No, I mean, she's my wife, so I have to talk nice about her, but I mean it. Like, she's amazing.
Well, you don't, but on the other hand, you're on a podcast that's going to be out there.
Yeah, she's going to see.
So yeah, she'll probably hopefully watch this.
She might be watching it actually.
Oh, she might be
she's
watching it now.
With the kids, so she might be watching.
She's at the beach.
Yeah.
All right, have fun at the beach, not the shore. The beach.
The beach. She's at the beach. Down the shore at the beach.
That's awesome. That's awesome. No, but she really does have a good understanding without having the the background. I'm like,
absolutely.
That's crazy, because she knows what should be done. She knows.
She does.
And it's and so we went to the restaurant before and after your ownership, and it's definitely but it's gotten a step up. And so
Thank you.
that's due to her,
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
she manages that. I mean, she has
does.
the manager there, and the servers there are really good.
They are.
I mean, a couple of the servers have been there for like 20
Right.
plus years.
Yeah. Mary, our manager's been there forever.
Yeah.
She's one of our OGs. Yeah.
Yeah, and so that doesn't hurt. But I will tell you, there's some restaurants I've seen that were bad before they switched management, and they kept the staff. They were bad after they
bad
switched.
after, yeah.
So it does depend.
Yeah.
You've got to make sure that you've got the staff, and these, the staff there, they are really on,
They're
on
a
top of
blessing.
it.
I say it all the time.
But thank you, Bernadette. we do appreciate it. Just like I thank my wife. Sometimes I give her a hard time, but the reality of it is, if they're not giving you good input, then you're not listening.
No.
And you got to look at it from that standpoint, right? It's not.
Absolutely.
When my wife tells me something, I gotta step back and think, okay, I feel offended. But I'm wrong.
Yeah.
And I got to admit I'm wrong.
They're usually right.
Dang it.
They're usually right.
But yeah. So this is...
This is our changes in latitude.
okay.
This one,
It's got a helicopter on it.
yes, that's my helicopter.
No way. You have a helicopter?
Well, not my personal one. That's the one I flew for the city of Philadelphia. I was a helicopter pilot in the aviation unit for 8 years.
Dang it. I was going to ask for a ride.
Oh,
I love helicopters.
We can take you for a ride. That's not a problem.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's actually a picture of our helicopter. And I thought changes in latitude. This came out right when Jimmy Buffett died.
Oh, that's
So
that's a
like
tribute.
It was a tribute to him. And then we went, with the theme, the sky, the boats, and I literally just told our graphic designer, I said, I want something to do with the beach theme, with the boats, and I want to put my helicopter in, and whatever you come up with. And
They
she came
do.
up
So, I've done the helicopter tour in Kauai,
with- okay,
which is
beautiful.
phenomenal.
Yeah.
And it was well worth the money spent. Now,
Okay.
when we went, it wasn't that much. I think we paid $100 each.
Wow.
So that was dirt cheap.
Yeah.
But that was like last century almost,
Yeah.
So it's, things, but I've been on like in a medevac
Okay.
in Maryland.
Gotcha.
I used to be in the government with in engineering in Queen Anne's County, Maryland, right? So they have a state police barracks right next door, and they needed an addition on the state police barracks. I helped them through that, and they were like, "Hey, you want to take a ride on a helicopter?" I'm like,
Sure.
"Sure."
Yeah.
And so we're like 200 feet off the ground. I mean, not even anywhere. And they're like, "Oh, we forgot to ask you. Do you get seasick or anything?" I'm like, "You're asking me
A little late now.
What are you going to give me a bag or something?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "No, I'm good."
Yeah.
Right? And so and then
We've had plenty of that.
And then at 400 feet, it's like they get a call to like a response call. So now we're headed to the accident.
Okay.
And they didn't have to go. They were like, "How are you with the sight of blood?" I'm like, "Just whatever. Do whatever you got to do." But, so we were up there. We did that. So they did the pitch and yaw thing because it was a training session.
Right.
So they took that chopper and they
Turned
moved it
sideways?
90 degrees in each direction. So you're like,
Yeah, you're looking straight down.
The first time you're like, your face is like against the window, and then you're trying not to fall out of your seat on the other. But you're strapped in and all that. But
it's nice. The helicopters now, they're great.
Oh, and it was a lot of fun. To Jimmy Buffett.
Yeah, absolutely.
To Jimmy Buffett.
I don't want to spill over your stuff.
It's all good. Yeah, that's an amazing. So I do like that. I do like the fact that the chopper's in it. That's a great explanation for the chopper. Someday, maybe I'll get in a Philadelphia chopper.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, we have it's throwing what we call the night sun down, and it's got our logo, so it's kind of.
All right. Ooh, another one.
Yeah, this is
citrus.
This is very citrusy. Juicy style hazy IPA, but it's been a fan favorite.
Oh, this is that's
why I started canning it. It was when I had it on tap, it just tear through it. So I thought, let me can it up, and we go through it. I just got 30 cases canned, and then we're tearing through them.
Yeah, I can see why.
Yeah,
I can see why, because they're all smooth. But this one's another one that you're going to sit out on the back deck with, and probably if you could buy a keg, I would advise it, but I don't think Knute's going to let you.
Well, I think that's kind of my pastime, sitting on the back deck having beer. So maybe that's why they all kind of feel that way,
Yeah, you can do so. Yeah, but yeah, you want to get something that you're going to enjoy out on the back deck. Like I'm the type of guy, I'll drink red wine all year long, but if it gets above like 90 degrees, I'm like, I gotta move to either rosé or beer at that point,
Okay.
or something a little cooler.
Right. Makes sense.
Same thing with coffee. I'll drink coffee until like 90 degrees too.
I'm the same way.
But if it's like it is today, it's hard to have coffee outside.
Yeah. I had one yesterday. I was down in Center City, and I was walking. It was about 3 o'clock, and I don't know how hot it was, but it was a scorcher, and I was drinking coffee, and some of my students were laughing at me. It's too hot to be drinking coffee.
Not really.
No,
No.
I enjoy it.
Yeah. So, and that's the whole thing, right? So, citrus. What else? What else are we going to taste in this?
You're going to get like some orangey, some
Yep,
lime,
yep.
a little pineapple on that. I don't get the pineapple, but there's a group of my coworkers. They all talk about the pineapple you get. I don't get the pineapple, but that's what
You don't get the
called.
pineapple?
I don't get it. No, I get
right,
mostly
so-
the orangey, the citrusy, the lime. That's what I get.
So we've talked about this on other, like American Wine Journey. We talked about it extensively on this one podcast. Apparently, men have less taste buds than women,
Oh, really?
which is why women don't like the really bold reds as much, and
Makes sense.
they flavor like a dry rosé or a Cabernet or
Right.
a Chardonnay or
Okay.
a Sauvignon Blanc, because they're. If they have like a bold red, like that Cabernet Sauvignon, their taste buds are getting attacked.
Yeah. Never knew
It
that.
almost feels like that. So, when you're thinking about it, men, like to have the big bold flavors. We like the well-seasoned steak. We like the Old Bay seasoning on the.
Right.
Shrimp. So, we like that, and women are like, cocktail sauce? No, thank you. I'll have the tartar sauce with my crab cakes. So,
That's good to know.
and it's a physical thing. Their taste buds, they call it taste buds per square inch kind of thing.
Okay.
So women have more than men. And obviously there's going to be, for men, some men have more than other men,
Yeah.
and that's just the way life is.
It makes sense and why people taste so many different things when they're.
Yeah, but so this one, and that's exactly correct. That's why people can taste different things. Like some people will taste this and they might say, "Oh, there's some leather in here,"
Yeah.
and you're like, I don't,
Yeah.
I'm not tasting that. But it's the same thing with wine. Some people taste the leather in the wine, but so some people taste the pineapple in this.
Right. I don't get it.
Doesn't mean it's not there. It just
No.
means that.
And it's funny because I'm in a bourbon club too. We do bourbon once a month, and we taste these bourbons. And some of the guys come out with these crazy flavors that they're picking up, and the other one's going, "Yeah, I got that too." And I'm thinking, I don't have any of that.
Right. Yeah. So, and some of that also is how much you do tasting.
Yeah.
Right. So, the more tasting you do, and the more if you're paying, I don't want to say you're not paying attention when you drink.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a time to pay attention when you're drinking. There's a time to
just enjoy
drink
it.
on the back deck, not pay attention. But when that's your specific intent is that I'm drinking this to taste it, then you start to pick up the different flavors.
Okay.
So that's how that so you're basically tuning in your all your faculties together. So
Right.
your taste buds, your mind, your all that stuff. And so when you're tasting that, then you start to pick it up.
Okay.
And so I wouldn't think that you'd be too much longer, and you'd be like, oh, yeah,
Kinda
maybe.
get that,
Well, although you have, maybe you have 5 taste buds per square inch,
burned them all off.
and maybe
Too
you'll
much
never
drinking.
taste what they're tasting. Who knows? But
You never
But on
know.
the other hand, it's like one of those things where the more you taste, the more you can pick up. And that's how when they do with sommeliers, they're tasting all the time.
Right.
And that's how clearing the palate, that makes a big difference if you're
Huge, yeah.
specifically tasting for tasting sake.
Right.
Like here, we're tasting, we want to actually experience all the different flavors in each of the 4 wines that we've tasted today. And they were good. They were all good. They were all smooth.
Good. I'm glad you enjoyed them.
Yeah, and I wouldn't refuse any of these, to be honest with you. These
Cool.
are all like really a lot of fun. I might stick to the fall and the winter with the porter.
Yeah.
But that's kind of a,
That's where it's for. Yeah.
yeah.
But I still get those guys that come in all the time, and all they do is they want the dark beers. And
It's smooth enough you
So,
can drink
yeah.
it pretty much all year long.
Yeah.
I mean, in here it's not like 90 plus
No,
degrees,
no,
so
yeah.
you could still drink it
You
in
could.
here.
I have a guy that comes in. He's goes around touring all kinds of breweries and does reviews. Real nice guy, but that's all he drinks is dark beers. So
Right. Yeah.
all
and
year
so-
round.
But we all have our favorites. that doesn't mean you can't drink the other one.
Oh, no,
right?
yeah,
so
absolutely.
It's just a favorite, right?
Right.
And that's how it works. So, what else do you think? Or should we call this a day?
I don't know
up to
what
you.
else you got. I mean, it's
We've had a great conversation.
absolutely. It was
We've had
fun.
a
I'm
great
glad we finally got to
conversation.
be able to do it.
Yeah. Before I forget, we're going to be doing a Tipsy Tagalongs podcast series in November. We're going to like 4 to 6 wineries
Cool.
in Northern Virginia.
Wow.
We're going to do like winery to winery to winery to winery, you know, one day after the other.
That's awesome.
And we're going to have a lot of fun with that. Now, we're going to do those off hours. In other words, we're going to do those Monday through Friday during the week, which means a lot of people are going to be able to tune in live, but we're still going to do them live just in case you have off, and we're still going to post them up on our YouTube channel.
Cool.
That'll be a lot of fun. All right. So with that, hey everybody, thanks for hanging out here at Blondes and Brunettes with Knute and I. This has been a lot of fun. We've had this beer. This beer is good. You should come out and get some for yourself. You want to drink it on your back deck. You want to drink it here. You want to take it down to the beach or the shore. It is versatile. You can drink it anywhere, I'm pretty sure, right? Anywhere you want. So do that. And in the meantime, pay attention to our Tipsy Tagalongs. And Blondes and Brunettes has stuff going on all the time. It's crazy. You look at their schedule. I get their updates in the emails and stuff.
Good.
And we were even on the email.
Yeah,
I think we were
yes,
on there.
we were.
So it was great stuff. Thanks again, Knute, for hosting here. Thanks for the tastings. We appreciate that very much. Again, when you drink responsibly, and with all things, enjoy life and journey more often.
Absolutely.
Thanks, everybody.